Hey, good morning everyone. Frank Valkyria here in Amsterdam. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for spending some time with me. And of course, my head is still filled with a lot of Avengers Endgame, so we have to talk about it. But before I go ahead, I want to tell you this is a spoiler full of spoilers. So many spoilers, full of spoilers. So please, if you haven't watched the movie, go watch the movie. Then you can come back here in the discussion comment section because it's nice to share, especially if you have seen the movie. Wow. Yesterday, wah, 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 wah. I still wah, 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 because this movie is great. We have to talk about it. I have to talk about it. It's 9 o'clock here in Amsterdam. It's still not so late. I started a little later today. We have to talk. So where do we start? First of all, let's go a little bit through the story. And what a story. What a story. What a story. I think I need a sip of coffee for a moment. Yes, nice. Calm down. I need the hat to focus. I need a better hat. Anyway, I mean, this movie is just excellent. I said yesterday, I say today, masterpiece of science fiction era movies, just over the top. This movie, it's easily a 9.5 for me. Easily. I don't want to say 10, but it deserves it. 9.5 all day long. Incredible movie. So it's a culmination of 10 years. It's a culmination of all the characters that we know, that we have learned to love. Those beautiful characters that through those movies, so many movies, they've become so complex and we have developed such a relationship with them. This is a love letter to the fans. This movie, it covers so much ground that it's just unprecedented. And they do it so well. Really thumbs up to the Russo brothers. They did an amazing job. Like really spectacular movie. They couldn't have chose a better director for these, at least in their MCU word. I'm not so super familiar with the comic books, so I'm sure there are references from the comic books, of course, which they're based on. I'm not so familiar with that because I know those characters more through the movies than through the comics, truth to be told. And the movie just starts out incredibly well with the Avengers have to cope with the present, with after the snap. And there's a lot of drama, and that drama, it's beautiful. It really serves the purpose of getting deeper into each individual character that is there dealing with the circumstances. And it's just astonishing. You take, for instance, like the character of Scarlett Johansson, that she has regrets. She's trying to bring back the world the way it was. And Captain America trying to do his best also to, you know, help other people coping with after the snap. But the movie picks up really fast in the beginning when we see Tony in space and Nebula, their relationship also very fun, very beautiful. Nebula taking very seriously like table football playing, but at the same time being very kind towards Tony. And you really have, as you start to develop even further, this character of Nebula, which in this movie doesn't do super a lot, but at the same time she has key roles. Also the Nebula of the past, which I'll talk in a second. So her characters, we see her more, and I started to like her even more because despite the fact she's basically a machine type, that humanity in her, or whatever species she is there, and it's beautiful and comes across. We see they're in space, Tony's dying, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, Captain Marvel comes, glaring with her beautiful orange color in the face of Tony, and we know she's there to save the day, and brings them back with the ship on the Avengers compound where everybody goes out, Pepper Potts, Captain America, and they see Captain Marvel just landing the ship. And we are there now in the present with Tony being fatigued and thin and being a little bit angry towards Captain America. They're trying to find a solution. Afterwards, they gear up together with Thor, with Captain America, with Captain Marvel, with Rocket, with every one of them on the ship straight to with Nebula that knows where Thanos is, and they go straight to him on his retirement planet, where they confront him right away. This scene goes really quickly. In fact, when you watch the movie, you know that they're up to something because it's happening too fast. They go there, jump through space, go to Thanos. Thanos is weakened, and they just take him. And this time, you know, they cut his arm, and Thor goes for the head. And wow, it is a satisfaction. It's a moment full of satisfaction. You should have heard the audience in the theater was packed, and the audience just cheered like, "Yes, motherfucker!" Bam! But there's a price to pay. Another sip of coffee. That's not the end. You know that the things of the present cannot be changed, and they have to go back to Earth and live with the consequences, even after killing Thanos, that things are not changed. So they have to come up with something. And everybody goes on. 5 years pass. Tony, creates a life as a daughter. The other, they're trying to scramble, through life the best way they can, trying to help others, trying to keep the world together. But at the same time, we also see that there is a lot of despair, and that drama that plays very slowly in this part, it really enhances the beauty of this movie, because you really have time to get down with the characters, what they're going through. So awesome choice. I didn't feel bored at all about this part of the movie. Actually, it's the part that creates even more structure for the rest that it's going to unfold. And all of a sudden, we see the little van with the quantum portal in a storage facility, and the rats just igniting again whatever they're doing. And Scott Lang comes back after 5 years, and he's of course trying to make sense of what happened, trying to look for his daughter in San Francisco, where there are all those pillars and pillars of names, like a cemetery. And he goes around trying to find the name of the daughter, and he discovers that she's alive. He understands that the dusting took place, and he goes straight to the Avengers facility, having an idea. He's been into the quantum realm, and for him only 5 hours passed when he meets all the rest, and he tells them. So outside 5 years, inside the quantum realm 5 hours, and he comes up with this idea that maybe it's possible to manipulate time in the quantum realm. But of course, the only mind that can solve this problem is Tony. They go to him and he refuses it. So then afterwards, they go to the other brilliant mind, which is the Hulk. What now it's actually Professor Hulk, because Banner managed to coexist with the Hulk, and now we see him for the first time with the clothes on, glasses on, and he's very funny in the interaction with other people. He's at the diner having pancakes, a pie of pancakes this big. It's so funny. It's so funny, the whole interaction, and also the other side of this movie that is very comedic in the drama, and it plays out so well. The actor did such an excellent job. Mark Ruffalo, thumbs up. Really funny, the Hulk, and it's nice to see him like big and dressed up and trying to solve problems. So with Scott Lang, they theorize what it's possible. They create a machine with the little van, but things are not going accordingly precisely. And at the same time, we see Tony that is bugged by this, and he starts to study it. And of course, the genius he finds a solution, because he cannot rest until everybody's safe. So he finds a solution, and he goes to the Avengers compound, and they work together, and he creates a portal. And this is a very important moment, because everything you can imagine you would wish in a nice action hero movie, it's here. All of a sudden, the team is reunited. Rocket goes with the Hulk into the new Asgard to pick up Thor, and we see the Thor basically transformed into the Big Lebowski, drinking beer gut, a gamer. It's super comedic, super funny, and Chris Hemsworth did such an incredible job at being this character full of guilt. Like he's just transformed into the average, like bubble gut beer, a gamer, completely lost in his room playing online gaming with his friends. I forgot the rock guy from Ragnarok, what he was called, but it's just so funny, and it's played out so well. And Rocket, it's like, dude, and also the Hulk, we need you. You gotta come back. So he does. But at the same time, it sort of plays a minor role here, Thor, in a way, you know. But we see his guilt. We see his guilt that he failed to go for the head, and it weighs heavy on him. That's why he started to indulge heavily into drinking. So it's a further development with the comedy of a character that we love, and it plays out extremely well. So they're united. Nebula is there. Again, I love that character. Scarlett Johansson goes pick up Oki, that it became the Ronin, because of course we know the movie starts out with Oki house arrest. He's teaching his daughter how to shoot arrows. All of a sudden, boom, dusted. And that moment transforms him into the Ronin, goes around the world being a vigilante, killing people. Black Widow brings him back, Compound, Avengers, new portal created, Pin Particle. They don't have enough of them to travel with those new suits that Tony created in the quantum realm, but they know that they have a round trip. So each one of them, they do this time heist, like Scott Lang eloquently put, and it's so funny because it's such a funny name. Handman character is also super funny, played really well. So each one of them has a different mission of the characters going back in times to pick up the stones where they know they are, because they find out that going back in time, they know exactly where each stone is at every moment. So the team divides. Two go on for Mir, Oki and Scarlett Johansson. Captain America and Tony and the Hulk and Ant-Man go back to New York 2012 battle, and then we have Thor going with Rocket on Asgard. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful, all this combination of different missions, which it also gives closures to a lot of the characters, and I get that in a moment. For instance, like we see Tony going with Captain America and Hulk in New York, and we see that the Hulk sees for the first time himself the way he was. So in order not to be disguised well, he has to take off his clothes again and pretend he's like, oh, buh, buh, and he throws stuffs around because he sees himself the way he was, angry and savage. And they have a mission to retrieve the Tesseract, and now it's in their hand because they defeat Loki, and the battle is over. So the scepter and the Tesseract that we know is going to go in the end of the Hydra and Shield and Hydra. So we also see Captain America fighting himself when he gets the scene where he gets the scepter in the elevator with the squad, where we have this flashback of Winter Soldier where we think he's going to fight them again, but then instead he's smart and he tells them like, "Hail Hydra," pretending he's part of the group, and he just takes the scepter, walks out, but he meets himself. And there is also this fun interaction of seeing how mature the character of Captain America became, like also making fun, acknowledging himself with this righteousness, and making fun of the fact that Bucky's alive. He tells him, so that stops the fight, and he manages to, escape that fight. But that was also very well played. But then they fail because Tony loses the Tesseract to Loki, which he just disappears because, there is all like a scene there you will see. So where they're taking Loki out, Ant-Man is taking out a piece in the Tony of the past out of his heart piece here, which creates a sort of heart attack for a moment. In that kind of discombobulated moment, Loki gets the hand on the Tesseract, it disappears. So there is that timeline created. So they failed in 2012, they're forced to go further. And Captain America and Tony, they know that it's a round trip, but they know where the Tesseract is in the past, in the 70s. So they go further back in New York together. And there it's also a very beautiful scene where Tony, he manages to retrieve the Tesseract in the bunker where with Winter Soldier, with Scarlett Johansson went to see Dr. Zola, Compound. They know it's there. They go there in the 70s. Tony finds it, comes out, meets his father in the past, and that's a beautiful interaction. This movie is full of beautiful closure moments. This is one of them, when Tony finally has a chance to see his father as an adult and exchange with that awareness, and also giving that beautiful hug at the end, that it's so like a kid finally being able to display his love for his father. It's just a beautiful moment. It's really, to me, it was I was tearing up because I know how important that scene for Tony Stark was, the character, you know, to have that closure, and that happens, and it's fantastic. The stakes are high. The Pym particle is missing, but Captain America knows that there is Pym also there in that facility, and they take more Pym particle created in the moment so that there are more chances to travel through space. So very well played. The lack and the abundance of, you know, like possibilities they create in this movie to balance things out. At time a little bit confusing. Another extraordinary moment to me, it's Thor being on Asgard, and you know, he knows the mother is gonna die that day, and he meets her, and the mother, of course, the witch that she is, realizes that this is the Thor of the future, giving him some advice, and there's also the moment of closure with him, and also revealing that in this universe there is something more about life and death. You know, there's a whole realm of magic and afterlife that we don't know exactly what it is, hinting at our sort of relationship that we have with the life and the afterlife, the mystery of life itself. So that moment is spectacular, it's beautiful. Thor displayed emotionally and just going through sort of breakdown. It's also nice to see the sort of humanity in him in that moment. So they retrieve the Ether, and they also retrieve Mjolnir, which is there, and Thor is still worthy, and so he has also the hammer now there, because there is the hammer, leaving the Thor of that moment without the hammer, but doesn't matter. They take the hammer, they all go back. Hulk is also in New York talking to the character Tilda Swinton, which refuses to give him the time stone, but after Hulk reveals that was Doctor Strange in the first place to give it to Thanos, something lights up in her head, and she willingly gives the stone to the Hulk. And that scene is also beautiful. It's also beautiful. She plays it really well, full of pathos, full of energy. They all go back. On Vormir, we have the worst scene possible, where Oki and Black Widow, they go through the same process that Thanos and Gamora went, and we know what it's going to happen. We know somebody's going to die. They both want to sacrifice themselves for the other, but at the end it's Black Widow that sacrifices herself. And that moment was a very sad moment, because of course she's been around from the beginning. To see her go was heavy. Hawkeye goes back with the Soul Stone. They all go back, all of them. Am I missing something? Probably, I'm sorry. But this is a lot to recall, just boom, on a whim. Let's drink. So they go back, they have the stones. Tony creates a gauntlet, Iron Man style, to wield the power of the stone. But at the same time, I miss something, of course. Nebula and War Machine, they went on the planet where Star-Lord in the first the Guardian of the Galaxy, they retrieve, what is it, the Power Stone or the Soul, what is it, the Mind Stone, what is it, the Purple Stone, I forgot, no, it doesn't come to mind, that stone, and we know it's there, and Nebula collects it, and we further see her character developed. And I started to like her very much, because we see that literally it's this torn character. So we see that War Machine and Nebula, they're on the planet where Star-Lord is there to retrieve the other stone that I forgot the name. And she retrieves the stones, but at the same time, the glitch that connects the Nebula of the past with the Nebula of the future, the present, makes sure that Thanos realizes the plan of the Avengers, because they can tap through this glitch in the memory of the Nebula of the past, and they find out. They also find out that he's gonna die by the end of Thor being decapitated, and War Machine manages to retrieve the stone and goes back, but Nebula gets kidnapped. The Nebula of the present meets again Gamora, and there is a beautiful interaction there, that we see also the wisdom of Gamora, that as soon as connects with the sister of the present, she understands. She understands Thanos' like a plan and what it's gonna mean for the people in the future. So even though she's the Gamora of the past, still like serving the father, the connection with the sister and seeing the sister change, Nebula, immediately connects her with her, and she basically take her side, and that's a beautiful scene. But the Nebula of the past disguises herself to be the Nebula of the present and goes back into the portal, into the Avengers facility, just as if she was the normal Nebula. And that it's the scene where when Tony creates the gauntlet and they put the stones on the gauntlet, then Hulk decides he's the one to wield it because the radiation coming out of the gauntlet, they are gamma, and he's made for that. He wears the gauntlet, and we see that it's destroying his arm almost, but he manages to withstand that power, and he snapped the finger, and everybody's back. We just have enough time to have the realization that everybody's back, but because the Nebula of the past opened the portal, the quantum portal, and through the pin particle they retrieved this gigantic ship of Thanos. It's tiny, traveling into the quantum realm, and just boom, destroying out of the quantum portal, destroying the roof, being on top of the Avengers compound, becoming gigantic again. As soon as we have that awareness, the ship bombs down the whole compound, completely in ruin, and Thanos then comes down. Thanos is on the ground, waiting to be confronted. We see Captain America and Thor with two weapons, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker and Iron Man. And this time Thor says, let's kill him properly. They go confront him, but this scene is gigantic. This scene is gigantic. We see that Thanos is still very powerful, even without the gauntlet, and he gives the three of them a hard time. But Thor is still Thor, and even though he plays a sort of minor role here because he's out of shape and so on and so forth, but still he manages to fight Thanos, Captain America also, and there is one of the best scene here. All of a sudden, when Thanos is almost jeopardizing the life of Thor. We don't know how much Thor can handle, but at this moment the stakes are high. We have the feeling that Thor might be hurt, and all of a sudden, bang! Captain America wields Mjolnir, and that's the best scene ever. Everybody just cheered like crazy in the theater, and we see Captain America with the hammer just bum, 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 going at Thanos, and it's so satisfying. And then Thor is like, I knew you could do it, I knew you could do it. And there's this nice banter also with Captain America having a Stormbreaker and Mjolnir in the hand, and he's like, what do I do? Which one do you want? And Thor is like, keep the small one, give me the big one. So that banter is great, and Thanos gets fed up and unleashes the whole army on the planet that he wants to destroy now, because he thinks the people left behind, they will never forget. So the only solution is to destroy completely the universe and recreate one at his image. And here we also realize that he's mad and he wants to be a god, like Loki says, but he will never be one. So that moment is also very revealing of the movie. And we have this scene where Captain America is fighting Thanos, and it just destroys the shield, Thanos, with this double sword, and he's there standing alone in front of Thanos, and we think everything it's done, and all of a sudden all those portals, they open, and everybody's back. Everyone is back. Doctor Strange brings everyone's back through those portals. Black Panther, Spider-Man, Valkyrie flying with Pegasus. Is just wonderful. Wakandan, Asgardians, everyone is there to fight. Everyone is there to fight, and it's epic. It's epic. Oak is trying to bring to safety the gauntlet, pass to Black Panther, that at the same time gets seen by Thanos, and he's almost getting the gauntlet, and all of a sudden the Thanos ship fires at the sky, and everybody's looking at the sky thinking, what's going on? Why it's fighting at the sky? It's firing at the sky. And we see this glare again, and it's Captain Marvel. The best use of Captain Marvel ever. They didn't overdo it, but they did it really well. All of a sudden we see how powerful she is. She goes through the ship of Thanos like nothing, destroy the ship, confronts Thanos. She gets headbutt by Thanos, but she doesn't flinch. Thanos has the gauntlet, but she manages with her sheer power to bend his finger backwards. Thanos manages to snap the Power Stone just for a moment out of the gauntlet and punches her with that immense power of the Power Stone, the same power that basically defeated Hulk in Infinity War, and just enough time to try to put the gauntlet, but she confronts him again. He loses the gauntlet, and the gauntlet lands in Tony's hands. Best scene. Tony wears the gauntlet, and it's heavy, man. It's heavy because you see Tony, after all, it's a man under that suit, and the gauntlet is spreading this energy into his body, just consuming him. And the great actor Robert Downey Jr. he just delivers that scene incredibly. And we are all there. We know what it's going to happen. We hope it's not going to happen, but he snaps the finger. And as he snaps the finger, after a moment, all the army of Thanos is gone. It's gone, and we also have this beautiful moment where Thanos kneels, and he knows. We have this beautiful moment, he knows he lost. In that moment of awareness, when he has the realization, bam, he's turned to dust. It's the end. But it's also the end, unfortunately, for Tony, which he dies. And is comforted by his wife, telling him, now you can rest. You saved everyone, basically. Now you can finally rest. And that's heavy. That's a heavy price to pay, because I wish they didn't kill Iron Man. They went this way to up the stakes. We lost an incredible character. We lost Black Widow. So we had to lose somebody. Makes the movie even more enjoyable for everyone else that gets the happy ending. And we see at the funeral, everybody's there for Tony. And when, after the funeral, Captain America is supposed to bring back the stones in their specific timelines, because Hulk told the character of Tilda Swinton that he will bring back the stones at the same timeline where they picked them up, in order not to create tangent timelines, so not to disrupt the reality of the past of those, of where the stone were taken. So we see him on the portal, like Dr. Hulk is there, like controlling the switch and everything, telling him, for us it's going to be just 5 seconds. You go back, take all the time you need, give the stone back into the proper timeline, come back, you will be here in 5 seconds for us. And then they do that. Captain America has the hammer now. Thor granted him that, so he's wielding the hammer. He's taking the hammer with him, which is super awesome. And he doesn't come back to after 5 seconds. And as we realize that, after 5 seconds, we see this old man sitting on a bench, and we realize it's Captain America. He's had a life. He gives the shield. He passes the shield to the flying guy. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. And just a sort of passing the torch moment. And we realize he's had a life with his partner. And we see this beautiful scene going back in the 40s, where he's having that dance, that famous dance that he missed. And now finally he's having a chance to do that. And it's a moment where everybody tear up in the theater. It's like, finally, because Captain America, always the selfless, always there for everybody else. And he sacrificed everything of his life for others, and finally he gets to have his happy ending. It's a beautiful scene. It's a scene full of emotion. Like I said, this movie is packed with it, packed with action, and that closes the whole thing, a love letter to the fans. So I just wish they didn't kill Tony. I love that character. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore, but was it worth it? Was it worth it in the bigger picture? An astonishing movie. I hope I covered this through and through in about half an hour. I hope you enjoyed this, like recalling, because I had to go through it like right here with you. And go watch the movie, and also share your thoughts in the comment section, and always spread love. And I'll catch you later.